Hello, it's me, Mickey. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, well, I guess that's just welcome. So we're here to talk about fan favorite character, Trunks. More specifically, future Trunks. So what's on today's docket, you might ask? Well, we're going to be talking about Trunks' burning attack. And I'm only doing quotes because, to my knowledge, the title burning attack has only been used in the video games. It's not an official term, unless you consider the video games to be official, I suppose. But if you're wondering what's the significance of burning attack, Mickey, why are you talking about this? I'm just going to say once again, welcome to the channel. So I've done a bunch of past videos, but I've done a few past videos, and I'm going to continue to do videos like this about Dragon Ball, its symbolism, and just what may be the inspiration for things. And a lot of the times it is actually just Buddhism, stuff like that. So that being said, I believe that the hand signs Trunks does isn't just for flair. I believe they're mudra. I'll get more into that later, but this is just my theory. So I just want to once again just state, this is a theory. This is just good brain juice. Something to think about to make an entertaining video for you. So take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. But hey, if you enjoy it, I'm glad. Leave a like, do all that good stuff. I don't want to get too hard into that. But like I said, I believe these hand signs are called mudra. A lot of anime have it. Dragon Ball actually did that. In original Dragon Ball, did these sort of mudra hand signs. Now, these hand signs were also very popular in Naruto, such as the Shadow Clone Jutsu. So, what does this mean? So by the end of the video, I hope you learn a thing or two about mudra, about Dragon Ball, about Buddhism, just learn anything in general. Look at this dumbass, he forgot to unmute his mic and now you can't hear a word he's saying. But what he did say was he appreciates all the support he's been getting in the past videos, just in general, and we hope to get 80 likes this video. The like goal is 80 likes, and if you learned something, please feel free to subscribe and leave a comment down below who you want to see next. I did a community poll on the community tab on the channel, and you guys seem to want Majin Buu, so I'm going to definitely do some research on that. If you want to learn more, stay tuned, and get right back into the video. I like to have structure, so first things first, I'm just going to give you a little backstory on Trunks, because I like to give a little backstory on the character before I get into the comparisons and what the main subject is. In this instance, it'd be mudra. So, yeah, just make it a lot easier for you to compare. Although, I'm going to be quite honest, here is just like a cool little backstory of Trunks. A history of Trunks, if you will. Anyway, let's get right into... Alright, you know I had to make that the title card. It would have been a completely missed opportunity if I didn't do that. Anyway, so Trunks. Let's talk about him, talk about his backstory. He's from an alternate timeline. And I'm doing the quotes because, to me, technically, there's the main timeline. All you gotta know here is just like at a young age, Trunks and Gohan are the only Saiyans alive. You know, the whole world's been basically ravaged by the androids. Only a few survivors are left. Trunks has his mama at the very least. He's got Bulma and his best friend Gohan. But like I said, the androids absolutely just decimated basically everyone else to oblivion. So Trunks is being trained by Gohan. Gohan ends up falling in a puddle. He's, laid out, as they say. And Trunks ends up going Super Saiyan. Now, fun fact, in the anime, it's his first time going Super Saiyan. Although in the manga, he could go Super Saiyan. He just couldn't really keep up with it. It would just burn out really quickly. He didn't have the stamina, the focus to really handle it, I suppose. Regardless, after that day, he fights and fights and fights for years until Bulma reveals she has a time machine. He then uses it to try to save Goku. Yeah, he has a heart virus. Miraculously, though, Trunks ends up having a super medication, and he has it in his hand. He goes back in time, and that's, I guess, where we get the series. The Cell Saga. Android Saga? I don't know. I like to just mix it all and just say it's all the Cell Saga, because just like, there's so much. Regardless, Trunks deals with Frieza using not only the topic of the video, but, burning attack. He also just cuts them into mincemeat. But, he's got a really cool and badass sword, so he gets the pass for me. Going out Super Saiyan out the gate like that. Woo-wee! God, he's so cool. But, Mecha Frieza essentially just wants to exact revenge on Goku, and everyone's just freaking the hell out. Of course, obviously, I'd kind of freak out too if a maniacal tyrant just showed up, just coming back from the dead, pretty much. I'm gonna kill you. But Trunks acts fast, takes out both King Cold, Frieza, out like light Swiss cheese, if you will. But this is another reason why I think it's an alternate timeline, because we do know that Goku, when I made it in time, he just rolled an instant transmission there. As you can see, I may have a second agenda for this video. Something I want to talk about. Yeah, and it's obviously not just the verdict attack. But if you want a full video of me explaining why I think that the Trunks timeline is the main timeline, the timeline we were watching isn't, hey, let me know. Maybe I'll do that. I think it'd be like a pretty fire video. Anyway, Goku does eventually arrive, sees Trunks, and is like, what? Huh? So Trunks, pulls Goku aside to like a little private spot. I'm doing quotes because Piccolo's eavesdropping. He's got that super Namekian hearing, apparently. Essentially, Trunks is a little bit of anyway, Trunks essentially tells Goku what's up, who he is, gives Goku the medicine, and then just dips right back to his timeline. And that's when we see a big training montage. Not really, but the Z Fighters trained for the next 3 years. So now 19 and 20 show up after those years. I like to call Jiro 20, but it's Jiro. So I guess I'll just say Jiro shows up. So 19 and Jiro show up. And since this is a Trunks video, I like talking about the character in question and not really going to depth about the details of like the whole saga. At that point, I'm just a Dragon Ball Budokai game. Anyway, let's bring up the androids to say Trunks does return, and he realizes that his timeline has branched off. Well, this timeline has branched off because he never saw those androids in his timeline. And that's when 17 and 18 get released. And Trunks finds out that they're actually stronger in this timeline than his. It's probably because all the training that the Z Fighters did gave Jiro some more data. And in an effort to move quickly, Trunks just gets, flung away by 18. Tries to take them out, obviously. They can't do it. And then the Z Fighters can take out the androids. They're pretty strong, they're pretty strong. And that's when Trunks pretty much suggests to go back in time and destroy the androids before they're activated. Only to realize, oh, wait a minute, that's not going to affect this timeline. And on top of that, Trunks may not even have the charge to come back. So it is what it is. Regardless, Trunks is just going to use, anything he finds out in this timeline to use in his timeline. Essentially, he's going to try to find 17 and 18's weaknesses so he could win in his timeline, which makes sense, I suppose. He even thought about bringing Goku, apparently, which is kind of a cheat code if you think about it. Up, down, left, right, BA, select, start. Anybody? You. Now we kind of move to see some people's, it used to be mine, favorite saga, the Cell Saga. So, if it is your favorite saga, though, let me know. Do you like my Perfect Cell voice? Was it pretty? I was gonna say sexy, but it was kind of inappropriate. Anyway, this is when you find out another timeline. Whoa, mind blown. Speaking of future Trunks, here's future Mickey right here. I really didn't like how I went about talking about the story when I originally did this, so I'm gonna just give you the recap like this for a little bit. So essentially, we are in the Cell Saga. I already went over everything. So I guess a farmer ends up calling Bulma, letting her know, hey, there's this ship here, it has the Caps Corp logo on it. What's up with that? And essentially, Bulma relays this information to Trunks, and Trunks essentially goes, what the heck? And they end up going to check out the spaceship. Now, the interesting thing here is when they see the spaceship, it's old, it's mossy, it's gross. There's a hole on top of the spaceship. It's very, peculiar. Also, I apologize. I'm a little bit sick right now, so my voice is probably, very deep in, a very strange way. I'm not actually trying to do a voice. Anyway, so yeah, there's, a hole on top. And they're like, huh? What could have done this? Whoever, took the time machine must have just got out that way. And, eventually they find an egg, and they're just like, what is this, Bulma? It's probably an egg. And, shortly after they find the larva form of Cell. But not really. They just find his shedded skin. Because I guess that's just what Cell does. And then, after that, after they just see all this like weirdness and they're confused, on the TV, there's like a whole town just gone. Essentially, this whole town is trying to fight Cell out. But obviously, Cell just drank them like they were Kool-Aid. I don't know how to really exemplify this. A Capri Sun. There we go. I think that's a good one. You drink any children's drink. The Cell drink up that whole town. But yeah, they see that on the TV. They're like, what? And then out of, the worst judgment I think possible, Trunks just heads straight there. Anyway, I guess let's just go back to old me. He's Piccolo in a fight with Cell, Imperfect Cell. Cell then solar flares and just, GTFO. He kind of just skedaddles because he's like, nope, I can't handle that. I'm not perfect. But they do end up going to Jiro's lab. And that's when they see Cell in an embryonic state. I don't know if that's even a word. Embryonic, is that a word? Anyway, I guess they find Cell as an embryo. There we go. I guess that makes more sense. And just they find the blueprints for 17 as well. Then they, boom, they destroyed the lab. And then Trunks and Vegeta end up training in the time chamber, the hyperbolic time chamber. More on that here. Woot woot after they confront an imperfect Cell, the ugly one, the one. They are going to take him out, but Cell is essentially telling Vegeta that I'm not perfect. And it obviously gets Vegeta intrigued and wanting to fight Cell at full power. He's just gotta like, go ahead and power rap. Yeah, my voice is kind of messed up today. I think I'm sick, so I can't really do the voices like crazy. Regardless, he tells Cell to go ahead and power up. Do it. Get to a perfect form. And, Trunks does try to fight off Cell, and Vegeta doesn't like that one bit. Cell ends up seeing 18. Trunks warns her and tries to stop. Like I said, tries to stop Cell, but that's when Vegeta kicks his own son. Jeez, I thought I had it bad with the chancla and the belt, but no. Trunks got absolutely laid out by his dad. Trunks tries to retaliate with no avail. Cell does another solar flare and absorbs 18, becoming perfect. And after that, they just kind of get beat up relentlessly, and Trunks has to hold back Cell, and he's using more and more of his power. He's bulking up, Super Saiyan Grade 2 and all that. Yeah, the bulky form. But he doesn't realize he's losing speed in exchange for this power, and it's just no use, to no avail. Cell even shows Trunks what the issue is, why Trunks can't hit Cell. Trunks just kind of gives up at that point and it's just like, end it all, end me. Just, it's over. Just kill, right here to the dome. But Cell's just like, oh, wait, hold up. How y'all get so strong so fast? He's just like, what's going on here? Actually, how did you get so strong? Spoken like a true Saiyan. Creature of Saiyan Cell, that is. Essentially just tells Cell, hey, Goku's training as well, and he's gonna kill you. And just the idea of Cell being defeated by Goku excites him, because in his heart of hearts, he's like, nah, no one can beat me. I'm perfect. So he just accepts what he accepts what Trunks says to his talk about Goku and such, all of that, and he just raises Trunks. Hey, let's do a Cell Games in like 10 days. Y'all can train to fight me. I'm the star of the show after all, because he wants it to be televised. He just wants to test his limits, and obviously Trunks and all the Z fighters end up training. After that, days later, the Cell Games happen. Trunks basically does nothing, so there's really not much to talk about. He does fight the Cell Juniors, I guess, so that's something. He is actually one of the few that doesn't get absolutely manhandled by the Cell Juniors, so that's pretty cool as well. And when Gohan defeats Cell, well, Cell comes back as Super Perfect Cell. Yeah, Trunks dies. Oh, and his Dragon Ball, so he just gets wished back, and he goes back to his own time, and he beats down the androids. And then 3 years later, his Cell shows up. Heat Dome, back it up, I win, type shit. I haven't really been getting into Super too much in these videos because I never really felt like I had to. But here, I feel like I kind of have to.
Yo, Editing Mickey here. I didn't like how I explained the Goku Black arc earlier, so I'm here to, well, I guess, are you in post? I'm a little bit sick, so my voice is a little bit iffy, so you're gonna have to excuse me on that. But essentially, this is a rehash of the Android saga. That's the best way to put it. Instead of the androids, though, we got Zamasu, which is an apprentice Kaioshin, swapping bodies with our hero, quote unquote hero, but our main character, Goku. And he's evil. And yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get too into it because a lot of it's just super timey-wimey. It's very ridiculous. But I'm just saying, it gets crazy. I'm going to sound like a crazy person in a second here. Let's go back to my old self and just play it a bit further.
And they kind of lose if you think about it, too. I mean, Trunks has to live in another timeline. So now there's 2 Trunks and 2 Mais in one timeline because his timeline got erased. It's pretty wild stuff. I probably sound like I'm shouting nonsense now. Can you just show the next time? So what is mudra, you may ask? Well, it means seal. At least that's one interpretation of the word. And it's a symbolic gesture. It's used in many different traditions, religions, and such. But I'm going to be focusing on Buddhism for the most part. So when you do these mudras, you can have mantras, which is a word or sound repeated to aid concentration and meditation. To be quite honest, though, when you experience burning attack, I kind of see it as a kiai more so than a mantra, but I'm gonna just put that out there. Essentially, you have a mental image of what you want, and they were also used to focus spirituality. So you could take that as it will, as he's charging up his energy. He probably has a mental image of the burning attack, and he's focusing all that ki into that one little spot. I don't know. I'm just saying that's kind of how I see it. And another name for these mudras could be kuji-ins. Now, it's also important to note, nowhere in Dragon Ball do they actually state that this is what's happening, this is what Trunks is doing, or anything like that. So definitely do keep that in mind. But, again, something to also reiterate, it's used for channeling energy, and that just kind of makes it seem like the hand movements have purpose, at least in terms of Dragon Ball and the burning attack, because Goku does a cupped hand for his Kamehameha, Vegeta does a palm blast for his Big Bang attack, and then there's Trunks with the burning attack, which, all those hand movements. So it's just kind of like a new way to do an attack, it seems. And, the way I see it is, too, Trunks is pretty calm when he does his attacks. So, the only time that you don't see that, I guess, is in the games when he screams it. But to compare this with Trunks, some of this might not be, intentional, He's a survivor. 100%, he 100% has, rage and hate in his heart for the androids. And, I guess, any enemy in his path, even Goku Black, he had a hard life. Gohan trained him, of course, with intention. And I feel like this is why the burning attack was made, to help focus him in. He has discipline. As I said, in the manga, he could do Super Saiyan, but he couldn't focus at all, or keep the form. So my idea is he does his burning attack to help reel him in, focus. He has discipline. Gohan gave him discipline. Goku uses his instinct, his battle prowess. He's just got that IQ in battle intellect. So he just naturally does what he does. Vegeta has his pride, and he's like, I'm not a low class, I'm high class. He's pride. Now, does a palm blast, does it do anything with that? God if I know. God if I know. All I know is he's got pride, he's trained differently. This just seems to me like a confident stance. Hey, I know what I'm doing. Yeah, he has his pride, all right? I feel like that's just kind of like a, it kind of is like an FU if you think about it. The other thing about it too, a lot of times he does it looking up, so he's high above the person and just goes boom, which I don't know, seems kind of cocky, but also I guess you could in a word say that's prideful. Did I just come up with a point on the spot? That's kind of BS, maybe. Are you learning that these videos are kind of just for fun, like I said? Yeah, I'm gonna be quite honest with you guys. Okay, all of this I'm talking out my ass. Speculation. It's speculation, all right? That's the best way to put it. A lot of these YouTubers don't have the heart to tell you guys. They just say it's speculation. But I'm gonna say it. Some of it might be coming out of my ass. But as I said, it just sounds like Trunks has issues with ki control, and it seems like these mudras help him with ki control. So I could totally see Trunks making this move to just not only look cool, I guess, but to help him do what he has to do to attack. And I wouldn't be surprised if Toriyama had intentions of, just using a gesture to show some kind of restraint, to show that Trunks can compose himself using these seals, and then just, absolutely blast the enemy. Or you could be like, he just looks really cool. But the thing is, doing this attack also makes Trunks look a bit more intimidating. I mean, think about it. He looks calm. He looks ready. He's just boom. And like, think about it. If you sat there as an enemy and you just saw this dude just doing the hands out, you probably look like, what the hell is he doing? And then just get blasted. Again, I might be looking very deep into this, too deep into this. And I don't know. We've also talked about Dharma in the past videos and how, Trunks' world is collapsing, and it's already collapsed depending on which part of the timeline that we're talking about. So just the juxtaposition of his calm demeanor in the destroyed world. It's just food for thought. I think that's the word I was looking for before. It's food for thought, not brain juice or whatever. But regardless, for those still confused, Dharma is essentially just means like the cosmic order of things, which is the way things are. It just is. So again, something interesting to note is the name of the burning attack, because fire is very symbolic, like in eastern parts of the world, to represent karma being burned away, completely disintegrated, or I guess rather incinerated. Cleanses corruption, which I guess in the anime would be Frieza. I don't know, it just kind of reminds me a bit of Dalsum from Street Fighter. If you know what that is, he does his yoga fire technique, and it's said that it doesn't hurt an opponent if they don't believe that the fire will hurt them and burn them. So there's that. Again, Kujin mudras are heavily used in Naruto. To conclude this, I guess I don't really have much else to say without running in circles or speculating that much. So I don't know. Hopefully I gave you some food for that, and you highly enjoyed the video. If so, please just let me know.